Hello. We'll be discussing a this writing format, and th- I know it's the eighth edition. There's probably another one out there. There's a few changes, but for those of you who are going through school, you may need some uh, pointers on how to write for this in this format. This format is one that does require a lot of detail. And this is a older edition, but almost it was just the last edition before the current one. And these are actually pretty much general requirements for most uh, uh, formats. You're going to want a 1-inch margin, 12 point Times New Roman font. This is where the only difference is. Double spaced, unless you're doing block quotes, which will be indented single space. Page number are required. They are not on the title page. Lowercase Roman numerals on front matter, which is basically your table of contents kind of stuff. Arabic numerals, that's your 1, 2, 3, and so on in the main body. Three possible, and we'll go on from there. What you see is an example of when I talked about the block quotes and so forth. Block quotes are there if you're citing more than five lines or more. And as you can tell, it is indented in single space. This is in the Turabian or Chicago format, but you'll see that. Another thing you'll see is they call it the endnote footnote notation. I'm going to call it the exponent notation because that's what it looks like the closest to. So that number that's right at the end of the quote there is your correlating number to citation down at the bottom, which is common for this kind of writing. And a real good academic paper in this format will have a title page, a thesis statement, a main body, and a conclusion statement, along with your bibliography. Bibliography is the citations of where you got your information. There are the title page. There is classed into two classifications: the class paper and dissertation. The dissertation usually requires a lot more information than the class paper, and there may be additional requirements that a professor may require for this kind of format. As you see on this screen, the left hand is the class paper format, which is very common in undergraduate studies. Some undergraduates will use the dissertation format. Not a whole lot of them will, but some do. I've been through a class that did use that format. Um, and I'm only at bachelor's degree level study. Your main body is where you're going to use most of your footnotes. Your footnotes does refer to the original source. Can use further explanations of the text, It could reference to further information. Um, Obviously, if you keep using the same source, you can get into a position where you use the IBIT notation. For first references, cite all information first name first. This is within the text. First name first, follow style format. This is this is footnotes. Sorry, footnotes. In text, it's the same thing. Sorry. For the references, you just use the last name, comma, short version of the title, page number, period. Consecutive citations with IBID, page number of different page. Avoid using if referring to a note on a different page of your text. Format for footnotes can be 10 or 12 points. In my experience, the footnotes should be a little bit smaller at 10, but 12 points are still perfectly acceptable. Here you get a example of a single book, author or editor, Malcolm Gladwell, and you'll see the tipping point and all that information. This is the book. 2 or 3 authors. You get an example of how that is going to go through. And when you got 4 more, you will see something like ETAL, because it can get to the point of taking up too much space to put every name on there. So you're going to start with the first name listed. And here's a idea of what it's going to look like if you're going to do a electronic book with 1, 2, or more authors. You're always going to have like the access date and some sort of link or reference to the digital platform used. And you're going to have in journal articles, you got both print and online. If you're going to print, you're going to use the name, the title of the article, the title of the journal, the edition, volume number, and some of the page numbers. Now, when you get to the online, you're going to actually get into where you're going to either need to use the DOI or regular web link, or use the indication of academic one file kind of situation. And then the website, you're gonna if you have a author, you're going to use author, article or title, website, date, access, and link. If you don't have a actual author, you're probably going to get like a subject title, then the website, access number, access date, excuse me, and the website. And this is where we get into bibliography zone. Bibliography is where it would get different. You're going to start with your last name, and then first name, then the article title, and so forth. That's where it gets interesting. Is when you go to bibliography, you're going to swap the first name, last name thing from the end note, and it's going to do pretty much the same thing. And in your bibliography, everything has to be in alphabetical order, with the last name being the indicator of where it fits on the alphabet. And when it goes for more authors, when it's in bibliography, you're gonna type in all the authors. It's only in footnotes that you don't do that. Now I'm going to uh, burst out here. It is usually only included in footnotes unless it is critical to your argument or frequently cited. My statement here is, when in doubt, cite. So meaning, put it in your bibliography. That way, there's no chance of ending the argument. Here's an example of what a bibliography will look like. You'll always have a hanging indent, and it shows even repeated authors from Tolkien and Fleeger.